I don't know where to start with this really. This video is going to be a kind of introduction to the new Sequential Prophet X, which is obviously this guy here. Now this Sequential Prophet X is the brand new kind of flagship instrument from Dave Smith. I mean, it's an expensive beast. It's got samples by 8DO, and now this is probably something you're going, what? Samples in a Prophet? Dave Smith hasn't done that for years, and you're quite right. The idea behind the Prophet X, as far as I can understand, essentially is you've got a Rev 2 kind of synth engine, plus you've got this kind of 200 however gigabytes of SSD samples that are brought in by 8DO, and it's a kind of collaboration, and they can be fed. So effectively you have 4 oscillators. 2 voices can be samples, and two oscillators can be oscillators. 2 oscillators can be samples rather. These are stereo samples. There's a 16 voice mode and an 8 voice mode. Gives you this lovely stereo. If I go into mono, because it's got stereo analog filters. This is the other great big difference between it. So I mean, it still sounds nice, but 8 voice polyphony, I mean, that's just broad and wide. I hope you're picking this up on YouTube. So essentially what I thought I'd do is I'd just play a couple of sounds, and then I'm sure there will be questions because I'm going to be doing the full review, and it's going to take me a little time because it's a fairly big and deep instrument. But I thought if I have your input, then you'll probably be happy to throw a few questions in, and I will try my best to answer them. In the meantime, I'm going to flip through a couple more presets. This is one I made myself just using the piano. In fact, if I just show you what I've done to make this, it's really just a question of, if I take the oscillators down, there's nothing. Got these lovely chamber strings. I'll take the effects off. Now, how do I take the effects off? I think that's just the way they sound. And then we've got a piano. This is a 1928 grand piano. Near, I think there's probably far. Let's see if there's a far. That instrument 2. So you've got these massive sample sets. What have I just done? And then, so blend between those two. So pianos and strings, but then I've added these additional oscillators. And this is like a 4th below. And then I've added this really weird high one. And this is changing the shape of oscillator 1. So really it's a bit of a noodle fest. But anyway, yes, I was going to play some more presets. That's the thing with this instrument. I should say, it's got there are some instruments that you can play any notes together and they just sound nice. Very common in electromechanical instruments like Rhodes pianos, clavinets. You could just cluster chords and they just sound lovely. Same with sort of Hammond organs. You could just play lots of notes together and they somehow manage to harmonically interact very well. And it feels very much the same with this actually, which is quite odd. Even though, you know, we're talking 4 oscillators with all that harmonic richness, it just seems to work very nicely. So. And you can do interesting things because you can take the samples and you can not only have a multi-sample across it, you can take any one note that you're playing and then just stretch that over the entire keyboard for some weird, you know, like further than they should go, and you get some really interesting textural variations. There's also looping and other things that you can do within the sample, and you can modulate that and create some real granular stuff. Now, I should mention it does feature the same sort of twin engine approach that the Rev 2 does. You've got an A and a B layer, so you can stack or you can split. So you've essentially got two synthesizer voices, either multi-timbrally or layered or velocity switching or whatever. Here's an interesting one. I should mention we've got, as well as the modern pitch wheel, we've got these two sliders, which is pretty cool. We've got pedal CV input, volume pedal, sustain pedal, sequencer start and stop. So there's plenty of stuff going on here. Oh yeah, this one, look. This one's called Batcave, so it's bound to be good. And this is all synthesis. There's no samples in here at all. Same 2 effects engine. This is a stacked. Nice. Mad rhythmic kind of. You get an idea of just how much bottom end there is in some of these samples. They've got that kind of Dolby THX kind of theatre sound. You know, you can just imagine Discovery Channel jump cut to some dramatic scene, whatever. It feels very cinematic actually, and I guess, I mean, in some ways it's sort of almost sort of like Spectrasonics Omnisphere kind of depth of combination of samples and synthesis, but in hardware form. This one uses the built-in arpeggiator. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, quite interesting sound. Using both the effects generators here, because there are 2 effects generators. TV drama strings, this one's called. Quite nice. Anyway, I could go on for ages because it is quite an instrument that you get lost in. I have by no means shown the best of what this can do. So if you want to find out more about the instrument, ask me some questions for when I do the full review. As I said, it's going to take me a little bit of time to get this one going because it's such a deep thing. Leave them in the comments below and I will attempt to address them in the full review. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. That was the Sequential Prophet X kind of preview. Please do subscribe. We'll see you next time.